take a moment and thank everyone in law enforcement who helped us in the search for our beloved daughter.
There's no point hiding things from me.
You're psychic?
No, just paying attention. I've been watching you and your husband. I understand what you're feeling.
Yeah, welcome back to the Cocoa Digest Morning Show. If you're just tuning in, this is the Cocoa Digest Morning Show, and we're about to have our news review with two of my co-hosts in the persons of Miss Miriam Abnadidi and Mr. Clement Yaban Kwe. Hello. Yes, you're already here to explain the motivational quotes, but of course, how are we doing?
Great. How about you?
I'm well, thank you.
Yeah, Yara, during the motivational quotes, I said you look so beautiful. And
Thank you,
I might say, the one sitting at my right side looks so beautiful.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if today, because she's hosting the national press pasta of Winners Chapel International Ghana.
Yeah, she's even looking the part.
Yes, yes. Since it's all in line with celebrating the general of the Most High.
Anytime I find myself in my domain,
Okay.
spiritual domain,
Okay.
I'm able to
Good,
enlarge,
I can see
expand.
that.
And so I'm not giving this any
Don't give us
gap.
gaba.
I'm going to give it to you back to back. But I mean, it is a beautiful day. I mean, I'm happy that Clock TV, we are joining hands with the world to celebrate a great man like Bishop David Oyedepo. When we look at his contributions to society, education, life, a whole lot. He's done a lot for the countries he has his churches in. I think he's worth celebrating.
Yes, definitely. We are looking forward to that interview. We will be seated, we'll be glued to our sets here. Well, of course, before that, we need to talk about what's trending. And of course, I know you have gone to find hot news to bring to us this morning.
So, let me start with this. Regarding 2024 elections, in Ashanti region, particularly the Menchia, one of the constituencies of Menchia, NPP, during the exhibition exercise, they realized that some of the voters has been transferred to other places without prior notice. So they went to court. That's the High Court in Kumasi. And the High Court, I think that was yesterday or last 2 days, the judge made a ruling that Electoral Commission should make sure that such 580 transferred voters illegally from the Menchia be returned back. They should just reverse such transfer. I think, it's a good news. We are still in the electoral process. We are still hoping to see that of the NDC that they talked about and see the way forward. Yes, and I must say what Mimi talked about. We all are joining hands with the Winners Chapel International to celebrate the Bishop David Oyedepo. I might say he is a man that people must follow. In Africa, I would say he is the richest man of God in Africa, and he has the largest auditorium so far. That's the Ark Temple they are building, and he's a man of God that people need to emulate. That is what I must say.
Right. So I would also like to add up to Clement's first story, which has to do with the transparency of the EC. I think it is a good cause that is going to help those that are tensed up, those that are thinking of initiating protests with regards to the transparency of the Electoral Commission. It is going to bring down that tension, and I think EC is doing a good job. We have to commend them for that. And then, just as he said, we are hosting the national, pastor for the Winners Chapel here in the studio later in the day. But I also have a trending story here that talks about the resignation of ECG boss himself. So a few hours into today, we heard or we saw that the managing director of the electricity company Ghana, Samuel Dubik, has resigned as the managing director of ECG. And from sources, we are hearing that he was forced to resign because he has underperformed his role as a managing director. So this is what a lot of people are talking about. But one thing that is raising concern is the fact that, well, for some time we haven't experienced power outages, popularly known as doom.
Yeah.
And this was during his regime. Now that he's resigning, people are asking his successor, is it going to be able to maintain that? Because yesterday we had a nationwide flash out. Let me put it that way.
Well, I think my neighborhood was fine.
Estate people.
Estate. You have no idea.
You know, major parts of Ghana went off yesterday for some time, and a lot of people were saying, could this be that since he resigned, he has taken some of the power away? There are lots of things
that's funny.
But I mean, the most important thing is whoever is going to succeed him should do better than what he did.
Yeah. And there was another trend, but let me say a little bit about ECG balls. The question is, why now? Why now? You could have forced. You could have done this some days and months ago. If you really want to protect your integrity, you could have done that some few.
For him, maybe he thought he was doing his best. Right? Okay. And there was nothing that would tell him to resign, because this is something that brings food on my table, a job that I'm doing to be paid at the end of the day. Why should I resign? You get it?
So I think Express Update will follow this story and update viewers on moving forward the subsequent stories. But I must say there's a trend, and that's last Tuesday we talked of the fact that ClockSAG is hosting a program, and the intention of the program is for civil servants to understand why they should be neutral in terms of their political affiliation. And the program was so awesome. We brought viewers the live streaming of such a program. I know viewers learned a lot, but there was one thing I learned from Professor Jampo, and I might say, Professor Jampo said that, one, politics is not something that we think it is outwardly. He made an instance that everybody on this earth that is involved in politics in one way or the other. Even if you take decision on behalf of someone, you are involved, you are into politics. But his point where he drew the line was the fact that civil servants are not supposed to be seen on various parties' campaign stages. You shouldn't be wearing any party colors. Don't let people see that you are indeed for this political party. But aside that, as he said, even a union member or a union leader, you are also into politics. Why? Because you are acting in favor of the members. So we just want viewers to understand that, yes, we are in election year, and if you didn't get to watch this program, you can go to YouTube of Clock TV. It's still there. When you go to Facebook, it's still there. You can get access to this. It was very insightful, I might say, and learn something for yourself since we're in the election year.
One exciting thing I also want to add up that I learned from Professor Jampo was that, you see, when it comes to the civil service, you find a lot of old people, you know, aged people who have not gotten to their pension yet, and they are still there working. And then somebody transferred or brought into the system, a very young, vibrant person, to take up some leadership roles. Yet this person is supposed to understudy the aged you find there. And so he made, you know, a profound statement that if you are brought into an institution or a ministry, you need to humble yourself and understudy these people. Listen to everything they tell you. Take them as your guide.
Sure.
And if you are humble enough, you are going to sail through. And I think it was a very good statement.
Very good statement. Yara, before you go in, let me say the last thing. ClockSAG did very well for awarding an outstanding staffs for contributing to the progress of the nation. And that it's a sign of motivation to other staffs who need to contribute their quota to the development of Ghana. And I believe we should say that ClockSAG has really done well.
Thank you very much. So I was going to add that I also picked up a very profound statement, even though I might just be paraphrasing, but more of an interpretation of what he said, that basically your loyalty to your political party affiliations or whatever should not be to the detriment of the civil service. You may be so loyal to party A or party B, but don't make it to the point where it is undermining your work, because the civil service is the pillar of our society or even of our government.
Yeah.
So our viewers, all of those who are in civil service, I know you are party faithfuls. Yes, you are allowed to be. We have the freedom of association. But please make sure it is not to the detriment of the civil service, of your job, of our nation as well. So let's take one comment from our very own Obiba Wilson. He says, welcome, 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 ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all to your distinguished viewers. Obiba Wilson is here watching live from Kumasi, and I must say that the weather here is perfect for taking cocoa this morning. Right after this, I'm going to take mine too, so I'll be joining you. Yes, so what do you have on your newspaper, your digital newspaper that now people don't hold? Hey, what about
So we are
moving forward?
exactly. So I have the graphic business, and that's from 24th to 30th, as you know. And the front page of the graphic business, it says lifeline for SMEs. That's government provide cheaper funding sources for SME. Let me just read the first paragraph. It says that small and medium scale enterprises can now access a large pool of funds under a special initiative instituted by government to enable players in that sector to access support to scale up their businesses and cement their status as the growth engine of the economy. I think this is a good thing that the government has introduced. When you go to the last, that's the third paragraph, it says that this initiative is at the interest rate of 9%, and it's so nice because we know that loan for individuals ranges around 26% interest rate, 28% interest rate, but for the SMEs it's 9%. And someone will ask why. It's because the government wants SMEs to get access to loans to finance or to fund their everything that they do, and it's going to boost the economy. And lastly, it says that individual can access an amount between 150,000 Ghana cedis to 2 million Ghana cedis. So SMEs, those listening to us, you can access loan from any of this initiative that they have introduced as within 150,000 Ghana cedis to 2 million Ghana cedis.
So are there any, terms and conditions that?
Oh yes, there will definitely.
So
yes.
Is there any way to inform us about it before? Because if we rush to it and we go and find out we're not eligible, because when these things come out, there's a frenzy around it, but they need to also give us the terms and conditions that apply so that that rush would now be tended a little.
Well, I also want, before you look for that, I also want to add something small. I think it is a good cause that government has embarked on. I think a few months ago they made a promise that they were going to, settle these SMEs with some funds to support their business, which is good. But looking at the amount that is being given out, I think owners of these SMEs should know the kind of businesses that will thrive before they go in for the loans. They shouldn't just, as you're saying, rush and get the money and then they become stranded. They don't know what to do exactly that is going to bring in or generate more revenue for them. So I think they should also look at that. That is my concern, because each and every time, we hear government, bringing up policies to support, these small businesses, yet it doesn't end anyway. It doesn't go anyway. People, end up being indebted to government, and then it doesn't help. So I think.
Well, I could argue with you about that every business, one way or another, is needed. As much as some may thrive better than some, we can't just also tell these owners of the SMEs to know what business will thrive, because, you have a passion. We each have passions. And maybe somebody's passion is to sell maybe firewood. And firewood may not be as needed these days, maybe here in the city, as it would be in the village. But there may be a certain market for firewood at certain times of the year. So when you tell someone like that they should know which kind of business, it may not rub off well on them. It may rub off wrongly, because it may look as though you are not giving their business the value that it needs or is required. If I'm making any sense.
I didn't use the right term. they should find their interest and then pursue it.
Okay.
That will rather help. Because if you end up doing something you're not passionate about, you're going to,
Yes.
you're likely to run at it.
Yes, you will. And just adding up small to this, before I talk about, people might ask, what is the source of funding? Because we know they are saying we have a lot of economic crisis in the
Yes.
country, but this amount of money being invested in this SME Go initiative, what is the source of funding? But before I go to the source of funding, I just want to say something. You see, in business, we have to do what we call the feasibility analysis.
Yes.
So if you are going to sell firewood, you should know that this firewood, is it needed at this point in time? That is why Mimi's point comes in. People start business, for example, you are selling phones, and this iPhone you saw, you are selling it at a place, you know that their net salary is just 2,000 or their net salary is just 1,000 cedis. How do you expect someone like that to buy an iPhone which costs about 13,000 Ghana cedis? How does it, how would it, it's not be possible. So feasibility analysis is needed. That is why Mimi said that people go in for such loan, at the end of the day, they run at a loss. They don't even know how to repay back. If viewers would remember, the time we had a talk with one of the banks on the business update segment, we asked the manager about how one can manage his loan and be able to repay back. Such education is also there. People can go and just check it out. But let me just quickly bring the source of funding. It's not only government who is funding this initiative. We have the Ghana Enterprise Agency and Ghana Exim Bank with 7 million Ghana cedis. Sorry, 700 million Ghana cedis.
Wow.
That's what they are supporting the government with. And Development Bank Ghana is also supporting with 1.2 billion Ghana cedis. 1.2 billion Ghana cedis. The International Finance Corporation of World Bank is also committing an amount of 400 million United States dollars to this very initiative. African Development Bank has pledged 40 million United States dollars to this initiative. And the government of Ghana has also, let me just get a figure, they have also contributed a significant amount to this very initiative, of which I'll get to viewers very soon and also bring them updates on the business update segment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. We have a comment here from Rose Entertainment. Good morning to you all. Charles watching from Dubai. Good morning to you all the way in Dubai. Thank you for tuning in. So Mimi, what story do you have? Which newspaper do you have on your phone?
Okay, so I have with me the Daily Graphic. Today's Daily Graphic, and on the front page we have a lot of stories making headlines. So Students Loan Trust Fund disburses 20 million Ghana cedis to students, and that is on page 13. Winner takes all system must stop, except experts advocate. That is also on page 13. 32 journalists, media houses nominated for awards. I think that has to do with the GJA awards that is coming up. That is also on page 16. And our major story is Security Council needs overhaul. Structure deficient in addressing global challenges. And this is from President Akufo-Addo at the UN General Assembly. And let me read excerpts from it so we can continue. So President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has reiterated his call for an urgent overhaul of the United Nations Security Council, describing its current structure as outdated, unrepresentative, and insufficient to address the global challenges of today's world. Speaking at the 79th session of the UN General Assembly in New York, the United States of America, the Ghanaian leader emphasized the need for inclusivity and fairness within the Council, arguing that the existing framework was no longer fit for purpose. So the continuation is on page 3, but because of time, we'll just leave it here. But I think President Nana Addo Dankwa is just calling for an intensive examination of the UN Security Council. We all know their role is to maintain global peace around the world. And some arguments the president raised were the fact that we all saw the impact of the Russia-Ukraine war on other countries, especially African countries. And the UN Security Council has failed to intervene in the situation. And also we see the one that also happened in Gaza, the destructions, the wars here and there. He's also saying that is a continuation of unresolved issues that the UN Security Council was supposed to step in to maintain the peace for the people. So basically, that is what the story is about.
And it seems as though when there are certain powers, these countries are sort of based on their financial power and even military power. So with something like Russia being involved in a war against Ukraine, it seems as though the UN is not able to do anything. But let's Ghana start fighting Togo and let's see. You would see that, the perpetrators would just get arrested. You would find them going to the International Court of Justice, all these things that the UN is supposed to do. So it begs the question that what makes these other countries so different that there is not much or not enough rigorous intervention with these things like the Ukraine-Russia war or even Israel and Palestine? Why isn't there that much, intervention or rigorous intervention, even punishments or some sanctions, or even just coming to the aid of the people? It's not as rigorous as we usually get when it's certain countries that are going through that, or when, especially even sometimes when these wars are proxy wars. So maybe Russia is using some other country to fight Ukraine. To you see that the UN is not able to. So if with that story, I think it's our president was talking about the fact that there are 5 countries that get to veto certain decisions.
And we have the United States, Russia, China, the United Kingdom, and France.
So now, in a situation where Russia is part of the 5 countries that can veto decisions, what does that mean then? In a situation where Russia is fighting another country about, I think the NATO issue, yes. So in a situation like this, what then can the UN do? This veto issue, because I remember, I think back in school, when we were learning about this, there was also a suggestion that the veto country should be rotated every few years so that the power is not monopolized or something of the sort. But then we just hope that our president's appeal would be, taken into consideration. But knowing what we know, I don't have a lot of hope.
We don't know what we know.
I think the president's call is mainly for a Security Council that fits the purpose of today's world. Okay. Right? Maybe when these veto power countries were put together, during those times, we didn't experience these wars here and there. And today we are finding ourselves in, I would argue that too.
Well, the UN's formation, from what I remember at school, all of that came mainly, was it after so something about the Treaty of Westphalia. Hey, my lecturers, please forgive me.
So
it was
established one of the wars. In 1945.
Yes, so that was after the Second World War.
Yes, exactly.
Where the countries decided to come together to achieve global peace. And now, as to the selection, what the criteria for the countries that were to have this veto power, I think it involves, because if you look at, these are sort of the powers. They have the military power, like I mentioned, the finances and things like that. So it looks as though it was based on a certain kind of advantage they have over others. Yeah. And now this advantage they have, how long till it is twisted into something else? I think that's why I understand our president's appeal for a change in the structure. Because, like we said, Russia is here, engaged in a war, and it's almost as though there's not much being done about it. But if it was another country like Ghana engaged in war against Togo, you would see that whichever parties support Ghana or Togo would come in, and even if they don't support, they would be able to try to come and settle the issue where they would prosecute. So if there's, let's say, a military coup or something, you'd see that quickly, because we don't have the power to say, no, don't interfere in our issues. And then also, we don't have that much power to be able to do certain things that might undermine our foreign policy to some of these countries, like especially the Big Five, as I would call it, you see.
So I think it's a good cause, and we will talk more about it moving forward, this very issue. So
yeah. Well, we have more comments. We have John Boating. He says, good morning. Good morning to you too, John. And then Obiba Olsen also says he followed the online stream He says, I follow the online stream and I love the presentation of Professor Jampu. God richly bless him and the organizers. Thank you very much for your comment. So, do we have any other news on the Daily Graphic or Business? Okay, so for the online news, the very first story says, the LI, which permits mining in forest reserves, is a bad law. Repeal it immediately. This is from the Nature and Development Foundation. So Mustafa Seydu, the director of the Nature and Development Foundation, calls for a repeal of Environmental Protection Regulation 2022 LI 2462, allowing mining in forest reserves. He deems it a bad law contradicting Ghana's green environment policies and agreements. Seydu made this plea at a forum on combating galamsey, which is illegal mining, citing concerns over deforestation, pollution, and climate change. The foundation said, there is a legal regime in mining in first reserve, and it is an infamous law because it is a bad law. He further noted that there was an unprecedented mad rush for leases to mine in first reserves following the passage of that law. It is a reversal of all our international commitment for sustainable forest management, for climate change policies, and to ensure that we have a green environment.
I think, Yara, this LI issue, well, the last time, I think about 2 weeks ago, I made reference to it in relation to this galamsey thing, that some might say that it's part of the largely involvement of galamsey activities in Ghana. And the enactment of such LI was in the year 2022, November 2022. That was when the LI actually became a law. And it has, I don't know, but I feel like a lot has been said since then. In November 2023, civil society organizations raised concern about this same LI, that it need to be revoked because it's giving access to people to our forest reserve, which initially wasn't so. To an extent that they raised a concern about the Cape Coast Kakum forest, where those days, when you hear about it, like that kind of thing, you really want to go there. We heard in the news line some few years ago that people even wanted to mine over there, that individuals, chiefs and citizens of Cape Coast said no to that very activity. Civil society organizations were talking about such issue. And when you go to their site, they raised a particular concern. That was somewhere last year, 2023. They said, as at last year, 2023, November, they've given license to about 6 companies, mining companies, license to them, and they were mining in this forest reserve. I wanted to get the names of those forests, but I will get moving forward. And they got to know this thing is going to affect the country negatively if steps are not taken. And that is what we see now. My question is, why are they all talking about the LI? Because if LI was really passed into law and the parliament, after going through it, didn't see anything wrong with it and has been passed into law, why now civil societies are raising a lot of concern about this same LI? Miara, I took time to personally look through this LI for myself, and I might say that there is an issue in court. As at September 14th, 6 organizations and the media against galamsey, that's Media Coalition Against Galamsey, the convener is also part of such people. And what are they saying? What they are saying is that government is supposed to amend the LI as soon as possible. Parliament is supposed to sit on it as soon as possible. Why? Because they find there is a particular section of the LI that need to be looked at. So when you look at the LI, which states, let me read quickly, it says that when in section 3, section 3.1 of the LI says that it's forbidden for anybody to get access to forest reserve, that is to mine in the forest reserve. But in section 2, section 3.2 of the same section also says that of the same law gives the leeway to president to approve in writing a mining company to undertake mining activity in a globally significant biodiversity area in national interest. My concern is what makes a very mining activity a national interest. That is my personal concern. I want to throw out to the public. What makes mining in forest reserve a national interest?
Well,
that is my concern.
I think I can also stand in the position of government to answer
Okay.
that question, because
Okay.
we all know that mining is one of Ghana's largest sources of income
Yes.
or revenue. You know that from mining, government is able to get enough resources, revenue,
Sure.
to help in the development or the procedures of governmental, works and other things. So I think
Okay.
that could be one of the main reasons why mining was allowed in our forest reserves. But are you done with your point?
Oh, go on. I'll come back again.
My major concern has to do with the understanding of a forest reserve.
I was just
Okay.
about to hit on
Because
that.
when we talk about a reserve, what does it mean? Something that is supposed to be kept, to protect something, basically, or you're
Yes.
lying. A reserve. No, you are dictionary. So that is what a reserve is supposed to do. And a forest is called a reserve because it is designated for conservation and protection of natural resources and ecosystem. And usually they are maintained or governed by governments, let me put it that way. And they manage forest reserves through legislations, ensuring that the land is protected from exploitation and maintained for future generations.
Okay.
And this same LI, as you said, was passed by Parliament.
Yes.
Right? Parliament represents government in a way, right? Before it is passed into law, it is the president that would sign it. So when that was being signed or passed into law, did they think about the future of the generation? They are saying these forest reserves are being put for them. Did they think about them? Because we are all feeling the effects now, the impacts.
That's true.
Well, I think that at the time it was passed, they probably thought that small scale mining may not have a big impact, much like erosion. It starts out very small, and today look at what, because it's the mining we are even protesting is the small scale one, Galamsey. It's not the large scale mining where we have all these industrial level machinery. This is small scale mining, and look at what it is doing. So I think that at the time they thought that it would not be so impactful on the environment. It's something small. So, but then again, all of this is quite multifaceted. It could be that certain people decided that they were going to pursue this because of their own gains and things like that. And then others too could also say that this forest reserve, maybe there are some minerals there for us that could, benefit all of us. So let us just start to check out what is there and, use it to benefit the country. So it could be a whole lot of things. But then if it's a reserve, why do you even want to touch it?
Exactly.
Because, of course, there are other designated mining areas and things. So why then touch the reserves?
So, Yara, you made a point that there are lots of issues, let's say, pertaining to this LI. So my question is, wasn't there any visibility analysis by the people who drafted this LI to Parliament? Didn't they foresee that some years to come, this is where we are going to get to? Parliament, after going through this, didn't they realize that a time is coming that this is the situation we are going to face? So these are personally my question that I believe that it needs to be answered. That is why, as I said, 6 organizations plus the convener of the Media Coalition Against Galamsey are in court. They are in court. And their issue is about the Section 3(2) of this LI, that it should be looked at. It should be looked at because, and see, the issue here is, we are all talking about Galamsey, small-scale mining. But when these people get licenses into the forest reserve, it gives access to this illegal mining. It gives access to the Galamsey. We know these water bodies, they all flows from the forest reserve down to the various communities we have. So as they do the illegal act, someone might say that the waters are not there. The waters flow from this forest reserve. So as they do the mining there in these water bodies, now we in the communities are being affected.
Sometimes all we see is a river, but we don't see where the source is coming from.
Yes.
And the source is usually from a reserve, a forest reserve, and that is why they are supposed to be protected, not, exploited for our personal gains. And when we were talking about the passage of the law, I won't be surprised that influential or powerful stakeholders would have lobbied, for this to be passed for their own interest, because at the end of the day, they have the money to, import these machineries that they are going to use for the mining activity. So I wouldn't be surprised at all, because when we're discussing Galamsey previously, there was this comment that came that I shouldn't be shocked if I hear that members of parliament are part of what is happening.
Or did the Speaker of Parliament even try to make sense?
So I won't be surprised if they were the brains behind this.
But also so my producer sent me something here. This is about the LI, some of the requirements. So what rights are required to conduct mining? And it says here that there are 3 types of rights applicable. A mining lease. B, a restricted mining lease. And C, a small-scale mining license. So a mining lease is granted for an initial period of 30 years and may be renewed before expiry of such period for a further period of no more than 30 years. So basically at least 60 years you can... A restricted mining... Let me finish. A restricted mining lease is a mining lease issued in respect of industrial minerals and is granted for an initial period of no more than 15 years and may be renewed on expiry for a further period of no more than 15 years. Now, for the small-scale mining license, it is granted for an initial period of no more than 5 years and may be renewed on expiry for a further period that the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources may determine.
I'm not surprised that people, when you read the story itself, getting to the end, the man made mention of the fact that after this LI was passed, there was a mad rush for mining leases.
Yes.
So if each company is being granted 50 years to mine,
just imagine. Since 2022, and there's, as you said, 30 years, approximately 30 years, since 2022, and companies have gotten access to our forest reserve. They will mine there for 30 good years.
Bad years.
And we are exactly bad years. And we are talking about this, and people are also saying that no, they believe that we shouldn't put ban on mining activity, but it should be illegal. But these people are those who are who give perpetrators
to identify illegal miners?
Because some of them could even go with the right license.
Exactly.
But they have their side hustlers.
Yes.
What word should we use? Guru boys, that they will use for the small scale, the galamsey. That those accounts that cannot even be made because it's not going to be in the name of the more formal one. Yeah. So those monies or the revenue gotten from there will just go quietly into their pockets. Well, these are all allegations. We are not accusing anybody.
Oh, yes. But I'm the last thing, as I said. So these 6 civil society organizations, their concern is that the licenses or some people who are being granted such lease, they should just terminate it. Any company that is mining in our forest reserve, they should terminate the contract. That is their basis of going to court.
We need to protect the little we have. Yes. The effects, they are ripple.
Well, we have a few comments here. D&J Venture says, it seems that this government is against anyone who is fighting for better Ghana. Is it that they are in government to destroy everything we have? Good morning to you all. You're all doing marvelously well. Thank you, D&J Ventures. TA says, so many obnoxious laws in our system which need to be scrapped or scrapped completely or reviewed. Then we also have another one. This one is from Rose Entertainment. Clement, it is true. I am with you on that. There are indeed many outdated and unnecessary and overly restrictive laws that can be improved or repealed. In fact, it's a common phenomenon in many legal systems where laws may have been enacted for a specific purpose or circumstances that no longer apply today. Thank you, Rose Entertainment, for your comment as well. And then we also have, okay, we've read this one too. Thank you all for your comments. Let's go quickly to the next story. So this one is about the University of Ghana. So the University of Ghana postpones commencement of the 2024-2025 academic year. The University of Ghana has delayed the start of the 2024-2025 academic year due to the ongoing teacher union strike. Originally, classes were set to begin today, September 26, 2024, and special programs will continue as planned, and a new start date for the academic year will be shared soon. The university is working to resolve the strike's impact on the academic calendar. And then this is a quote, and it says, "It is announced for the attention of students and other stakeholders that the commencement of the 2024-2025 academic year has been postponed. This is due to the ongoing strike action by various MP groupings. Special programs will, however, proceed as scheduled, and a new date for the commencement of the 2024-2025 academic year will be announced in due course." So yes, some of the teacher unions are striking. I think FUSAG, there's this other one, something, yeah, TEU, then the UOG.
TUSAG.
What?
We have TUSAG.
TUSAG, and then there's this other one, senior, SSA, UOG. Yes.
Senior Staff Association.
Yeah, senior staff association especially. They've all come together and they are on strike, mainly about their allowances as usual. And it seems that this is a running theme for probably this whole year. Everybody seems to be striking about something.
When it comes to strike, I always say that we should always look at, both ends, the receiving end and also those affected. You see, let's look at the ethical consideration of this story. Teachers are striking, and it is going to affect students. That's what everyone is going to say. But sometimes I always want to say that you are striking for your own, allowances, blah, 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 blah. But how does that affect we, the students, who do not have any direct control over, whatever situation is happening? Why should you strike at our expense?
So, Mimi, can I come in?
Come in, my teacher.
Let's assume, of which Clock TV never disappoint, that Clock TV fails to give you an allowance that you are entitled to per the appointment letter. Will you come to work? Assuming they fail to give you such allowance. Let's say clothing allowance or something. You might end up saying that, oh, since I don't have such thing, I will not come to it because I have nothing to wear. At the end of the day, it's going to affect our viewers who watch Cocoa Digest.
Yes.
So teachers are not probably doing that because they want to punish students.
Yes.
They are doing that because it was stipulated in the contract, the agreement between governments. So if something is stipulated in the contract, then government should be able to adhere to it because I have performed my part of the contract. So you to perform your part of the contract. When you study company law, I did quite of that.
Yes.
And they will tell you, so they will tell you that when there is a breach of contract, the other party need to do what? To indemnify the other party. And this has been something that has been happening over the years. It has been happening for quite long. And government should be up and doing and listen to teachers. They should listen to teachers because it seems like government is not paying attention to teachers in this very country. To an extent that most people would say that I will not be a teacher because of how they treat teachers. So, and it's quite funny that the only language government listen to is strike. So it's not intentional that they are going on strike. It's something they are supposed to enjoy. And since you're not giving it to me, let me sit home. Then I get.
Why are you sounding like someone like you? But you see, the issue is, yes, I understand your point. In as much as your, propositions are valid, reasons why you need to strike are all valid. I also think teachers, in particular, should reconsider their decisions when it comes to striking, because these are the people we are training to become future leaders. You are striking because you need your allowances.
Yes.
Yet, you have an ethical responsibility to teach us.
Yes.
Whether good or bad.
Yes.
It's just like marriage. However it goes.
In the contract, I think it was never stated whether good or bad. The contract talks about I'm performing my part of the duty so give me what due me. So I have performed my task for quite long, and you're not giving what due me.
So
I have come to the table.
The only, the only thing that we can do.
Striking is not the only thing.
Yes.
And they've been to the negotiation table for long, and nothing has come out. So you see, Mimi, let me say something. I have taught before.
Thank you.
And being in the classroom is very tedious. What should the Robisa students say? Do you understand?
No.
Yes, sir.
And you see, exactly. So you see how the frustration a teacher will go through in that instance, of which other occupation won't do that. So yes, we understand students are out there. I also have a concern that the various teachers should also equally look at it because most students have prepared coming for the new academic year, and they should just hear a news yesterday that this is what has happened. So the question is, when are they going to call off the strike? So students will just be wondering, should I go and work? Because people don't have money. People can't take up themselves. So they are doing it themselves. So the question is, should I go work? Should I do this? Should I sit home? And that kind of happens.
Well, what Mimi was also saying, that yes, the lecturer should consider the students. The government, which has employed these lecturers, should also consider these students, because you employed me. You claimed to have the capacity to give me ABC as my conditions of service to make my job seamless. And I have agreed, much like even the marriage thing you were talking about, the relationship thing. This boy campaigns to you, tells you, I'll do this for you. You get in there, he's not doing anything. Would you want to stay? Of course not. You would also protest that you promised me ABC, and where are these things? And I mean, the last time we were saying that some of these allowances, maybe they themselves can take care of them on their own, but then it goes beyond that. Because why would you tell me that I am entitled to so and so to, give me some ease of access in my life or in my job, and then I'm doing the job, I'm doing my part, I'm coming to lectures, marking scripts, all these students. The University of Ghana is really big. I remember my time, some of the courses, the class would overflow because that's how many we were. And these lecturers still come to class, they teach, they mark scripts, and then their allowances are nowhere to be found. It is warranted that they would want to do something to get the government's attention. And if the government is thinking about the students, then they would also rise up to try to do something about this. We have some amount of money and support coming from various parts, of our system for the SMEs. Why don't we get something like that for allowances for teachers and the rest? If we do value education, then we should put in as much effort as we are putting into the business, sector in our country here. We should do the same for the education too, isn't it?
Sure.
And we also have a comment here. This one says, it's from Obiba Wilson. He says, I think this is about the mining issue. The fact is that the Constitution, bylaws, and most allies are passed to favor certain class of people at the top. It is deliberate and crafted intention. Hey, you people. Thank you very much for your comments. So let's just hope that, our teachers or our lecturers' allowances will be met, because these lecturers, some of them even tend to help certain needy students. And maybe they use these allowances as some sort of top-up to be able to help them. So we may think that, it's just car allowance or clothing allowance or some accommodation allowance, but it may go beyond that. So just as we are feeling for the students, we should also feel for these lecturers, and then we should also feel for the government. It's so many parts of the whole thing.
I think they have to be considerate. The teachers also have to be considerate, because there are lots of things happening in the country at the moment, and I don't think it is the right time to strike.
I don't think you should toe that line at all. No.
Seriously, because I've been a student before, and I know how bad these things affect our academics. I won't lie.
Yes,
that is
they
why
do.
I am saying that they should also be considered. At least strike when it's vacation, during vacation, so that
I understand that.
So that even if your demands are not met, you
how do I strike during vacation?
No, wait. So you are striking. So if your demands are not met, you are still striking.
So wait. So if they are not met till reopening, then what happens?
Still strike. Will not come to school.
But that's what exactly is happening. Because
I'm trying to defend them, but it's not working.
The students were on vacation. They were supposed to resume today. And now the resumption date has been postponed, you see. And I was even going to say that Oh, Mimi, made me forget. Oh, goodness, I forgot. It's fine.
Yeah.
So, regardless, we hope that these lecturers' demands are going to be met. Yes, you were saying that they should strike, but if they strike during vacation, even now they have gone on strike during vacation. They say strike when the iron is hot. Strike when you know that this strike is going to make impact, it's going to hit them. Because when they know that, yes, the academic year has begun, students have to get their education, and then because of a lack somewhere, they are not going to be able to receive their education. Then it may put the government on their toes, maybe set some fire on their butts for them to get into action. So
I think in a way, they have also been strategic about their strikes. So I will not talk much.
So yes, quickly, the last story says, appointing ministers from parliament is a way of weakening parliament. This is from Inusa Fuseni. So Inusa Fuseni, ex-minister of lands and natural resources, says appointing ministers from parliament weakens its oversight role, creating a conflict of interest and undermining accountability. According to him, this practice hampers Parliament's ability to effectively oversee the executive branch as it is expected of it. The former Tamale Central MP explained that since the President selects ministers from MPs in Parliament, the potential for MPs to transition into executive positions diminishes Parliament's capacity to hold the executive accountable. It's as if... especially this week, actually, I'm just getting things I learned in school, because this is basically about separation of powers and checks and balances. And I remember, if my memory serves me well, help me brain. I remember back in school, they were talking about, you know, the three organs of government or arms of government, where each of them is supposed to be autonomous. So like the three of us here, we are to be held accountable to each other. I'm not your boss, you're not my boss. We are colleagues on the same level. Whatever you do, I should be able to speak to it, you know, check you, the same for you, the same for me. And we have a system here where the legislature and the executive are seemingly, you know, connected or joined together, which in some systems works very well, but in other systems it does not work very well, because there may be conflicts of interest at some point, because like we have the judiciary on its own. The judiciary should be able to check the legislature or even check the executive too. But now we have an issue here where the executive now has hands in the legislature. How then will they be able to check and then hold them accountable or even separate the powers properly? You know, there was even an argument that if they are totally separated, we'll be having too many ministries and ministers all over the place. But then again, I think when Ghana became a democracy, when the ministries were being created, we didn't have as many ministries as we have today. If, you know, we go by what Inusa Fuseni is saying, that we should separate them, these ministers or ministries could be, some of these ministries could be joined together to form one ministry and then have a head, a minister on it. So that if, let's say we have right now approximately 100 ministries, we can drop it to 50, where we would now have just separated when we separate the executive and the legislature, we would have only 50 ministers, and we have our MPs still operating. So it's not going to be that it will become a financial burden on the government where they have to pay these people, you know, because some of these MPs who are also ministers, it is alleged that they are paid in both capacities. It's not one salary.
Of course.
So if it's separated, it's basically the same thing.
But Yara, let me say something about this. So my question is, why is Honorable Inusa Fuseni saying this? Why now? Is it because yes, the why? Is it because he has already enjoyed a capacity as a minister of lands and natural resources, right? And also Tamale Central MP. Yes, he was Tamale Central MP. Is that the reason why? Has he realized something from that trend? He was also a member of parliament. What is it? Let me say, he's saying this because of experience. If so, personally, I agree with him. But if it's otherwise, then I think it wouldn't sound really good. When you go to 1992 Constitution, per practice of 1992 Constitution, it is stipulated in the Constitution that ministers should be appointed, some should be appointed from the Parliament. Let me quote, in the 1992 Constitution, Article 78 of the 1992 Constitution, I totally agree with Honorable Eunice Ofuseni because it weakens Parliament.
Yes.
Example, I'm a member of Parliament for, let's say, Koliklote, and I have a duty to perform to my people in the constituency. But since I have a ministerial role, sometimes about a whole 6 months, I'm not even in the constituency. So people ask, where is the minister? Where is our MP? These are questions that we need to ask. You raise a concern that, yes, it's going to bring that kind of checks and balances are not there. Yes, they will not be there because I'm a member of Parliament and I'm enjoying from the executive arm of government. I'm a cabinet member. Yaira, do you expect me to come out and expose the government?
Well,
that is a question that I think viewers should answer. But Yaira, in summary, what I would say that yes, this has a positive effect. It equally has a negative effect. The positive side of this very issue is because it's easily facilitates policy making or implementing policies in terms of government. Because since I happen to be a minister of, let's say, roads, and I'm also part of the executive, and I'm also a member of Parliament, anything relating to roads, I easily would like to make sure it goes through the process as soon as possible. So there's a positive aspect, but the negative aspect is too much. Yeah.
And you know, as you mentioned, the 1992 Constitution, I remember that the Constitution was put that way in certain ways, giving the president some amount of power that was a little too much because of the transition from the military rule to democracy, where the president needed some form of security. So he had that power to appoint people because he needed to put people around him that could be trusted because they had just transitioned from a military rule to democracy. And so, as you said, the Constitution needs to be looked at again so that some of these powers could be shared and then some of these things, because the president has the power to appoint even members of the judiciary, even members of the executive and the legislature. So how then are they going to be able to keep him in check if already, in a way, they are shackled to the president? So that is something that needs to be looked at. But because of time, we will pick this conversation up. Or, okay, Mimi wants to give one last contribution.
On the underperformance of a member of Parliament, if he doubles as a minister, I will beg to differ because I have seen members of Parliament who are performing very well as ministers and you don't have any issue with them. A typical example is Honorable Ambrose Derry. When he was Interior Minister, we all saw the security reforms he brought into the country and also his constituency, Nandom, where I come from. So I have to speak on that. Producer is alerting us that it is
I think but what Mimi is saying, everybody would like to say something about who A or B, but all what we are trying to say is that such law in the Constitution needs to be looked at. Yes,
let's take our comments quickly and then we wrap up. And then we have our insightful conversation coming up on the lifestyle segment with the general pastor of the Winners Chapel here in Ghana, right? Yes. National pastor. So Rose Entertainment says, all schools are on vacation. Why put pressure on the students? That's a very big question. Then Anointing Arthur says, I'm late today. Oh, you can always rewatch the live stream. And then this one is from Obiba. He says, Mimi Pa, what is the essence of a strike if the impact can't be felt? I work on campus and there are lots of bad working conditions that can't be voiced out because of the fear of intimidation and victimization. Thank you so much for your comment. This brings us to the end of the online and newspaper review with two of my co-hosts in the persons of Miss Miriam Abnadidi and Mr. Clement Yabankwe. As always, it's always a refreshing conversation with you guys. Thank you so much. Up next is the lifestyle segment. Like we said, we are celebrating our very own Bishop David Oyedepo. He's celebrating his 70th birthday. So Mimi and her guest will be here to just give us the whole gist of the celebration. Maybe we can join the Winners Chapel Ghana and even across the world to celebrate our very dear pastor. We'll be right back.
Blog TV. Beyond the Policy.
This time I will make damn sure that he stays.
Kumasi. Us.
I just want to take a moment and thank everyone in law enforcement.
the Winners Chapel International, Pastor Victor Tewu Adebayo, and we also have an associate pastor with us. But before I introduce them properly, let's take a look at one song that was ministered by Bishop himself. We'll be right back.
All the glory must be to the Lord, for he is worthy of our praise. No one on earth
And that was a very beautiful song ministered by the bishop himself, Bishop David O. Oyedepo, who happens to be the birthday celebrant that we are all celebrating. He is 70 years and 70 years of God's glory, 70 years of God's manifestation in his life. And I'm honored, very pleased to have with me two esteemed guests in the studio to have a conversation surrounding Bishop Oyedepo. And as I introduced earlier, I have with me the national pastor of the Winners Chapel International, Pastor Victor Tewu Adebayo, who is the national pastor of the Winners Chapel, just as I said. And I also have with me an associate pastor of Winners Chapel International, Pastor Michael Adebisi, also known as Pastor Bayo here at Clocksag, because he happens to be the resident pastor of the Clocksag Fellowship. Let's get into the conversation. Hello.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Please, how are we feeling today?
Good.
We are very pleased to have you in the studio today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just as I said, it is all about Bishop's 70th birthday celebration.
Yeah.
And we would like to know a little bit about his life and everything that made him who he is today. So let me start with you, Pastor.
Yes, please.
Can you give us a brief, background of who Bishop David Oyedepo is?
Okay. Bishop David Oyedepo is a foremost apostle of our time. He was born, like we are celebrating, about 70 years ago on the 27th of September, 1954. And according to his testimonies, he got born again in the month of February 1969 at the age of 15. And since he got born again, he has been someone who has been passionate about the kingdom, God's kingdom, and promoting what God's kingdom stands for from a child. In fact, he used to tell us a story of as a young teenager or young man in 1970-something, when he was sent to a village to teach as a holiday job by someone. And then in that village, he ended up starting a church there.
Wow.
And according to him, when he was leaving after his time there, not a very long time, I think a couple of months, the elders and leaders of the village gave him a bush lamp. And they said, the light you brought to our village, we are giving you as a symbol, let it shine around the world. So the story of Bishop David Oyedepo, according to what he has told us and what we have seen, I mean, serving under him all these years, is the story of someone who has been consistent in following God and the vision God has given him. Now, according to his story, in 1981, God gave him a vision through an 18-hour encounter on May 1st and 2nd, 1981, which delivered what we call the mandate today. And that mandate is summarized in a statement which says, now the hour has come to liberate the world from all oppressions of the devil through the preaching of the word of faith, and he sent him to undertake that task. So it is the pursuit of that mandate that led to the establishment of churches, schools, books, and every other thing we know about Bishop David Oyedepo is centered around the pursuit of that mandate. He has been consistent about it, and that's why this 70th birthday is worth celebrating from every one of us who have been beneficiaries of that mandate.
Exactly. Pastor Bayo, let me come to you on the aspect of beneficiaries of this mandate. I know you might also have an experience with Apapa himself. What can you say about Bishop Oyedepo?
There are myriads of encounters. I mean, there are words cannot, I can't enumerate all of them. Yeah. But one of such is me being privileged to go to Canaan land. Okay. Way back somewhere in 2006. And that was the first time I was able to meet Papa, where I was ordained. Papa laid hands on me, and the impact has still been speaking in my life. Proud to that, I used to read Papa's book. I had not met him yet, but on the campus of KNUST, we had to go to the cafe, we didn't have any time on the phone like that. I had to go there, read virtually all his books, and I felt my siblings were going to attending Winners Chapel International. I wasn't there as at that time, but they were bringing me materials, and I read the newsletter. Right there, I felt there's something in here for me, and so started feasting on those books, those materials online, and there was hardly a week. I mean, there wasn't a time that within a week that I wasn't buying his materials. I was virtually feasting on them, consuming them. And so I knew there was something, there was that kindled spirit, between the two of us, a connection. And so on that day at Canaan land, when I had the encounter with him one-on-one, tears were streaming down my face. It was like a dream come true, And for me, God just told me, I'm taking you here to groom you. There's something I have for you. I'm taking you here to groom you. And it's been wonderful. Yeah. The impact has been great. We get to places and people can easily identify that there's a connection between you and Bishop. People will be asking, are you Oyedepo's, son in quotes, and what have you? So it's been immense. I also had the privilege to go to Kumasi, to if you hear him speak on Kumasi when God told him, hey, you have, I was privileged way back in 2010 to be part of the second pioneering work at Kumasi, to start the Kumasi church. So it's been, and after that, a lot of opportunities to plant churches here and there.
Yeah.
It's been great. It's been wonderful.
And we can see that evidently in your life as
Amen.
an associate pastor here.
Amen.
Thank you so much for your submissions. Well, if you just joined us, this is the lifestyle segment here on the Cocoa Digest Morning Show. It is all about the 70th birthday of Bishop David Oyedepo here in the studio of Clock TV. We are joining hands with the world to commemorate and celebrate this great man of God. And so if you just joined us, you can send in your comment, whatever you want to say about Bishop, just send it to our WhatsApp number, which is being displayed on the screen, and also via our streaming platforms, Facebook and also YouTube. We'll gladly read them out. We have the national pastor here and an associate pastor. You can't afford to miss this opportunity, right? Bishop, why do I keep addressing you as Bishop? Am I right?
Pastor is okay, yes.
Pastor, right?
Yes.
Okay. When you were talking about Bishop's birth, you made mention of the fact that it was special. Please, what makes his birth special?
Well, I think in my own view, what makes someone's birth special is not the events surrounding the birth, but the purpose for which someone was born. The Bible makes us to understand that God was speaking to Jeremiah, and he said, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, and I ordained you to be a prophet. So what makes his birth special is that we can now see and know clearly that before he was born, God had ordained him for what he has become today. That's what makes it special in my own view. Though he told stories about how he was born in a church, but that is not what really makes someone's birth special. Purpose for which that person was born is what makes the birth special. So this day is a special day because someone whom God gave a purpose that is blessing mankind all over the world was born on this day. And that person is Bishop David Oyedepo. And that's why we are celebrating it.
Exactly. So we are reminding our viewers that intermittently in the conversation, we'll be showing excerpts of a documentary that was put together by Clock TV on your screen. And so whilst discussing, you might be watching, some excerpts from that documentary. But okay, so we have excerpts from the documentary right now. Let's take a look. We'll be right back.
The WOFB graduates was announced, and it will still hold today, but now shifted to 6 p.m. Amen. So let's refresh a bit before we have that meeting going. It is for specific insight into certain
that was in the 80s.
used to you haven't completed your training. Now the other side is
More. This.
Amen. Let's join our hands all over the world and stand on behalf of the entire Church of Jesus in Nigeria.
The way the church was open roofed.
Amen. Wow. And let's make
at that time.
as one. Jesus.
Pastor, let me ask you, what are some of the core values that surround Bishop's ministry and his life?
Well, it's quite enormous to talk about that, but let me just, from my encounters with him, since I've gotten to know him, I can easily point out at a few. So let me say, some of the core values I've seen is that he took the calling and the vision of God very seriously. In fact, so seriously that everything about him revolves around the fulfillment of that calling. Fulfilling it also in good time. So if I would say the core values, what I see is that he's been a man of unbroken focus in the pursuit of the assignment God has given him. I see also in him a man who is interested in seeing the gospel of Jesus Christ preached all over the world. not only bringing salvation to men, but also empowering the saved men to make a difference in their world. Yeah. One thing that anyone who has encountered Bishop Oyedepo will tell you is that encountering him caused us to begin to think differently on how to make a difference to our world with our faith. Yeah. So he basically told us that there are 3 core mandates along with the mandate that was given at the beginning. There is the mandate which was given at the beginning to preach the word of faith, to liberate men from all oppressions of the devil. And then there is the prosperity mandate, which was given him in 1987 when God told him, get back home from a meeting in America and make my people rich. And he believes that the prosperity mandate is to push the church to the top there, because a poor church will not be reckoned with. Yeah. Then there is also the signs and wonders mandate, which was given him in 1992, to see men and women of exploits rise in the body of Christ. So I think the core value is just basically to see men and women rising in the body of Christ who will make a difference in their world and to humanity.
Wow. Let me stay with you on the prosperity mandate, which is the gospel. I had a question about some criticisms of Bishop's ministry, that he's known for prosperity mandate, and as a result, most people, like the vulnerable, are not able to attend his church because he believes in, positive confessions, dedication to the work of God, giving out money and all those things are the only ways we can receive from God. Pastor, what can you say about this?
Well, what I will say about that is that most times prophets are misunderstood. Jesus was misunderstood. Prophets are people sent to a people, and their message are misunderstood. I want to say most of the critics I've listened to, a few, have grossly misunderstood what Bishop Oyedepo stands for. And not everybody is given a mandate to speak about prosperity. Now, recently, during the celebration, because we started the celebration from Monday, just having praise and thanking God for his life, he made a statement. He said all over the world he has received tributes. None of the tributes talked about what he had as a person, that, okay, he has this, he has that. All the tributes were all about the impact his life and message has made on lives. Are you get what I'm saying? The prosperity mandate was to make, is really to make impact on the lives of the so-called poor. And today, we have testimonies all over the world that this thing is real. Because gone are those days when they say as poor as a church rat. Because now we see God raising church rats to become some people of repute. You get what I'm saying? So it's not a gospel against the poor. Okay. It's a gospel for the poor. Okay. To help the poor to think differently and aspire for greatness, despite their present status. Exactly. So that's what the prosperity gospel is about.
Pastor Bayo, let me come to you.
Yes. I'm really, really excited to hear what God's servant, our father here, is saying, but I wanted to add my voice and then maybe educate some people who really don't really understand. I would say that our church or the commission is one of the easiest places where you can be, as far as finances are concerned. Easy in the sense that you are eased from the pressure of giving. It's not a concern. It is not a prayer point. Sure. You never see anywhere where we are praying at church or anywhere where they are praying about finance. No. there's hardly, a pastor who actually will be, what you see around, like, I need 10 people here, 20 people here to come and give this. No, there's no pressure at all. Yeah. Rather, you are taught as to what pertains to prosperity, and you are left alone to do that. You understand? So it's not a matter. That is why it is strange. That is why it's supernatural. That makes it a mandate. It's coming from God. There's no somebody sitting down and thinking about how to siphon money from people. Now, if you heard him within this period, I'm talking about Bishop Oyedepo, you heard him say, don't give me anything. All I need is a soul.
Exactly.
I don't need anything. All I need is a soul. Just go after souls. That's remarkable. That's amazing. So it tells you. So there's been, I call it spiritual, people have not been spiritually educated on certain aspects of the word of God, even as it pertains to prosperity regarding this commission. You understand? So that's the reason why some of us we follow through, we solve certain things, and we've been there. And so there's no pressure on anybody. It is just following what God says, being left alone to do that. Yes. And I really wanted to touch on it. It's been on my heart to talk about it for a long time.
It is also one thing that a lot of people raise in terms of criticisms about bishops.
Because they don't understand. That's mysterious. You see, when you don't understand what is working, you will criticize it.
Exactly.
But people will not go a step further to find out what actually is making. But there are few people, quite a number of people now who have realized and it's working in their lives.
And on that, we have a few testimonies of people who have benefited from the prosperity mandate. Let's take a look. We'll be right back.
And I'm sending you to undertake this task.
When I was in the university, I had a roommate who was always playing the tapes of Bishop David Oyedepo. It was through those tapes I began to have an encounter with that man. The tapes were always ministering to me, the hearer. At that time, I was not a member of Winners Chapel. I was going to some other churches. But the messages of Bishop Oyedepo were really life applicable, and they blessed me. Even though I was not totally committed to God, but it resonated with me every time I heard messages from Bishop David Oyedepo. So eventually, on one of the holidays when I was at home in Lagos, I decided one Sunday not to go to our family church where the family goes to. I took my dad's car and I began to drive around looking for Winners Chapel. I remember I was able to locate the church and I attended service there that day. And that should be around 1996 or thereabouts. After I attended service there, Winners Chapel became my regular church. I gave life to Christ and I began to follow his teachings. I was not yet fully a member, but anytime I was at home, I went to Winners Chapel, had the teachings, and that time I remember we used to have multiple services, up to 5 services. And from going for one service, I found myself waiting for 2 services, 3 services, sometimes the whole 5 services, and then hanging around to buy books, to buy tapes, and I couldn't get enough of the teachings, the life applicable teachings on faith and other areas of life from God's servant Bishop Oyedepo.
My name is Reverend Dr. Kojo Bemba. One day a friend of mine came to call me that we should go to Kenaland. And then we were 3 pastors. So when we got there, they said we couldn't see Papa because he was in the university. I think they were interviewing him, some international media. And the guy said that we should go back to Ghana. I said, no, we are not going. Even though our time is 3 o'clock, we have to see him. So we were there, the people were saying, and I told the guys that we should wait. So when we were there, one of the guys came to tell us that, oh, he will finish in 2 hours. In 15 minutes, he finished. So when he was coming out, we shouted. He came outside. Papa, we came from Ghana. Then he called us. So I gave him my seat. My friend gave him. The 3 of us, everybody had money, so we gave. And Papa just laid hands. Be blessed, be blessed. When we came, this is what happened. One of us got a house. One got a car, and one got a piece of gold. Every 3 of us, from that encounter, things began to turn.
Bishop Oyedepo is a man that has impacted his generation. I'm glad to have known him since 1986, and I'm glad for the impact he's had on my life, my ministry, our nation, our world. Bishop Oyedepo, we celebrate you, we rejoice in you. You are an inspiration to the whole world.
My encounter with Papa goes back all the way to somewhere between 1994 and 1995. I was doing my national service those days at St. Paul's Technical, and then I encountered his book, The Exploit of Faith. I read that book, in fact 2 books. One of them was Satan Get Lost and The Exploit of Faith. And later the person gave me another book, The Dynamics of Holiness, that changed my life. After national service, I got into ministry, and I think it is impossible to preach a full sermon without mentioning his name. And this is a very open thing that the whole world know. I can. The impact Papa has made on my life, I think that I will need a whole book about it. But my encounter with Papa has been a divine connection through his books and his tips. So we started building Porter City. And I went to see Dr. Yongicho. He prayed with me, and the financial things were very difficult at a point. I had a revelation, and the Lord spoke to me that you need to encounter my servant, Papa Oyedepo. I have listened to his books and listened to his tapes, and so by the grace of God, Bishop Take Aboy knows him more closer. So he happened to take me there. So one day I followed Bishop Take Aboy there, and by the grace of God, after Papa finished preaching, it was one of the Shiloh. I think probably 2019 or thereabout. I went there, and after that, when he finished preaching, we have to go to a room where he met the pastors. I saw great men of God like Bishop Abioye, Dr. Paul Enieche, and other great men, and Bishop Take Aboy. So because I was with him, I had the opportunity to go there. And I knew that was a divine appointment. She prayed for us, laying hands on me. And I came back that I was sleeping at Kenaland. And everything about the ministry finances turned. It has never been the same up to today. And by the grace of God, building some ministry and destiny. I remember saying to my team of pastors when we landed that God is here. God is here. This is God. If I cannot see God physically, what I see at Canaan land gives me an undeniable evidence that God is here. That day, that Tuesday night, the message I heard on
We have a lot of testimonies to show, but because of time, we'll have to cut it here. We have a lot of comments coming in from YouTube, Facebook, and also our WhatsApp number. So I'll read some of them out, then we'll continue with the discussion. Living Faith Church is the best church so far that will teach you what to do to get what you want. This is from Oloye, and We also have this. Happy birthday, Papa David Oyedepo. I'm glad to be part of this global mandate. In your light, we have seen light. Thank you for accepting the call of God upon your life. Thank you for being an example to the body of Christ. And this is from Pastor Joseph. We also have, I want to say a very big happy birthday to Father like no other, the Elijah of our time, Bishop David Oyedepo. I pray the oil on his life will never go dry and the fire upon his life will keep burning and shining brighter and brighter in Jesus' name. I also see my national pastor, Pastor Victor Adeboye, and my resident pastor, Pastor Debisi. God bless you all, sir. Watching from Adabraka, this is from Dozie Harrison. And we also have this from Joseph. Glory to God for an instrumental man of God. God founded him for his people. Hello, Mimi. I would like to know why it is said Living Faith Chapel in Nigeria, but rather Winners Chapel International in Ghana. Okay.
Okay, you want me to answer that
Yes,
question?
please.
Okay, it's just a way of differentiating between the local and the international.
Okay.
In Nigeria, the church is known as Living Faith Church, aka, which means also known as Winners Chapel.
Okay.
All right. So the ministry decided to adopt the Winners Chapel International as the name for the churches outside Nigeria.
Okay.
But in Nigeria, you also see Winners Chapel on the name.
Okay.
And so the name has been like that. So with maybe for ease and then and for acceptability in different climes and culture, Winners Chapel.
Winners Chapel.
It's easy to, you know, to call. It's easy to also identify with.
Okay.
So the ministry decided that the international churches will be called Winners Chapel International.
And is that different from Winners Chapel Ghana?
Yes.
That is different.
Yes. It's different from Winners Chapel Ghana. The Winners Chapel had a history in Ghana.
Okay.
We had a breakout that became Winners Chapel Ghana.
Okay.
But the Winners Chapel International is the one that is globally recognized as the one from Living Faith Church.
Exactly. Okay, we also have another comment here. Hi, my name is Kenneth Lafson from Kaswa. I joined the Winners Commission in 2018 and I attend WOFBI, and from that year it's been a change in my spiritual life. I thank God for directing me to Bishop David Oyedepo. We have so many comments here. Okay, so I have a question here. Someone wants to know if it is mandatory for a man of God to be working aside the mandates God has given him. Is it possible to give an answer to it?
I don't understand.
Okay. He's asking, is it mandatory for a man of God to working aside the mandates God has given? So like you having another job aside you working for God.
It all depends on what you are called to do. Now, if you are called to go and work full time in the calling God has given you, then you can work full time. But if you are not, you can also fulfill the calling and still be working somewhere. But it all depends on the calling. Someone like us, some of us were called out of our regular job to leave it and then come into ministry full time. Do you understand?
Yeah.
I can tell you, anybody that understands the Winners Chapel work ethics knows that the work we do is far more intense than even the work in the secular. Time consuming, and it takes everything out of it. Takes everything from you. So it's not the work you will do part time. It's the work you have to put
So it's a full-time
all your time
job.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's take a few comments from our YouTube viewers. This is from Albert Kwame Ofori. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Congratulations, Papa. Francis Mensah also says hallelujah. Samuel Wonders also says a great man of God, a powerful gift to the world and the church on earth. We love you, Papa. Happy birthday to you, Papa Bishop David Oyedepo. This is also from Funke Oyewo. Happy birthday in advance to our lovely Papa David Oyedepo. Adam Newton also says great conversation. Abigail Kobler also says, God bless you, Daddy. We love you. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. And understand why our comment sessions are being flooded with comments, because we are celebrating a great man of God. And so it is no news. Keep them coming. We'll read as many as we can. Now let's get back to the discussion. On the issue of core values, let me come to you, Pastor Bayo, as an associate pastor. What would you say, or how would you describe some of these core values being impactful in your life, briefly?
The work ethics, the discipline, the ability to, be able to fixate on an assignment and get it done. The culture of respect for those ahead of you, the opportunity to grow, and quite a number of them. And that has really, really, really impacted my life. I started teaching Wobi. I had somebody say Wobi, Word of Faith Bible Institute.
Oh, okay.
Many, many, many years ago. And what happened was then the head of mission, then Pastor Dele Bamboy, I was his secretary then.
Okay.
So I was just in the office and he came and was like, have this. He gave me the manual. Go and teach. You are teaching. I mean, the point is, if I had not been trained or had not gone through that grooming, I would have fumbled.
Yeah.
But because of the training, and also don't forget, I said, God told me, I'm taking you here to groom you. So I went there to learn.
Yes.
This discipline. I mean, that culture is there. The environment gives you the opportunity to grow very fast and to mature. Because there are things you observe, there are things nobody will tell you, you have to align. It's amazing.
Okay, right. Pastor, we are wrapping up shortly, but let me come to you.
Okay.
Let's talk about the church's impact in our society, Ghana as a whole, and even globally.
Okay, thank you. The church ministry has been the major thrust of Winners Chapel worldwide. And the main core purpose of the church is to take the gospel to all the nations. And the Winners Chapel has been the forefront in that.
Okay.
We have more than 21 churches, 21,000 churches, 21,000 churches.
21,000?
Yes, spread across, I think, about 147 nations of the earth. Ghana inclusive.
Wow.
That's why we are here.
Wow.
So in Ghana, we have the neighborhood of 300 churches.
300?
Yes.
Wow.
Also spread across the nation, even in some villages. So the impact the church is making cannot be overemphasized, because to every of our church we preach the same message. The same core values are imparted. The same Bible school. So wherever the churches are, the same thing can be contacted. And because our pastors are also very well trained, you can also encounter pastors and know that this is a Winners Chapel pastor.
Yeah.
And it's been an awesome experience. I've been privileged also to go to some other nations and pastor there and see how the church is doing. So there is no doubt there is a backing, and it's divine backing to the commission. And that backing is what is making things to work everywhere we go. So the church has really made impact. And I want to mention this. Apart from the Winners Chapel Church, several churches, just like we had their testimonies, have been privileged to connect with this mandate and rise up from connection with this mandate. God told the servants at the beginning that through this ministry, the foundation of many ministries will be raised. And to the glory of God, that is happening all over the world. He told us recently, just last Sunday, that about 50 pastors came from China for his birthday. They had never been, he has never been to China.
Wow.
And 50 pastors came, led by a pastor that pastors a church of about 10,000 churches in China.
Wow.
Led by that pastor. And I said, wow, this is only God.
It is only God.
So we thank God, and that's why we're celebrating. It's not the celebration of a man. It's the celebration of the God behind the man.
Exactly.
Because if it has not been God pushing that man and pushing the mandate, that man will not be anywhere. He told us it is the celebration of the faithfulness of God. He said, who am I to be celebrated? It is the celebration of the faithfulness of God. And that's what we are doing.
Wow. Now, let's look at the outline for the birthday celebration. We are wrapping up.
Okay, we started long ago, but let me just, for this week, we started with evening praises.
Okay.
Praise evenings. We had, on Tuesday, we had a talk, an academic talk by Bishop Oyedepo and some others. And for tomorrow is the D-Day.
Okay.
So we are having a celebration service.
Tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
We're having a celebration service in the church.
Okay.
It will be transmitted live from our headquarters.
Okay.
9 a.m. Ghana time. And on Sunday, we are going to be having a special Thanksgiving service and celebration. But I want to add this, that the celebration has been on, and we are, among other things, we have also been reaching out to more souls, because that is what Bishop Oyedepo lives for, souls. All right.
Right. Pastor Bayo, let me come to you for your last words. As an associate pastor, what do you have to tell your members watching you today?
Yeah, what I want to say is, let's continue to follow the lead of the set man that God has given us, because I believe he's in the center of the will of God. And we have come under the umbrella. And it is what God has assigned him to do that we are also drawing from. We are not saying he's the only man of God in the whole world. No. We are saying that if God has sent us there to be tutored by him, let's believe that what God has called him to do is not fluke, because it is speaking everywhere and in the entire world. Like everywhere, his impact is being felt. That we are privileged to be under such a man.
Exactly.
We keep drawing from him, and as we get connected, we get planted. That's where we also flourish. God is going to bless us as we follow suit.
Amen. Pastor, let me take your last words.
Okay, I just want to add something to what I said before. Pursuing the core values and what Bishop Oyedepo stood for. Among other things, during this birthday celebration, we were able to give back to the community.
Okay.
So we had some legacy which we undertook also in the nation of Ghana. We were able to put 5 boreholes in 5 different communities.
Okay.
And we were able also to give computers to 4 different senior high schools spread over the nations. And then we were able also to visit some hospitals and do some humanitarian work in some orphanages and other places, just to show the world that this is what Bishop Oyedepo stands for. And we'll keep doing that as God helps us. I want to end by saying, Bishop Oyedepo told us recently that men will not remember you for what you have. Men will rather remember you for the impact you have made. If there's anything for us to take from Bishop Oyedepo's life, and his lifestyle. It is to desire and to decide to live a life of impact on others. It is when we live for others that our life has a meaning, and that is when it is worth celebrating. So the last word is that everybody listening, let's learn something from our Father. Live for others, and that is the way to live life. Thank you.
Can I just add that to what Sevan is
Pastor
saying?
Bayo, you have
Regarding
1 minute.
the projects,
Yeah.
it's happening all over the world. The legacy projects all over the world.
Yes.
And in Ghana here, the entire region, the various regions of Ghana, the projects are taking place. So, I mean, the impact is reaching everywhere in this nation.
Exactly.
So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you so much. We are still celebrating the 70th birthday of Bishop David Oyedepo, who happens to be the head pastor for the Winners Chapel International. And doing that with me, I had with me esteemed guest, the national pastor of the Winners Chapel International, Pastor Victor Tewu Adebayo. I have to take my time. Taiwo. Pastor, forgive me.
No problem.
And ask God to bless me. And we also have an associate pastor with us here, Pastor Michael Adebisi, also known as Pastor Bayo, who happens to be the resident pastor for the Closac Fellowship here at Closac. Thank you so much, pastors, for making time for our discussion.
You're welcome.
We acknowledge that we have a lot of comments to read, but because of time, we're not able to read them. We've seen them, and thank you so much for bringing in your comments. We really appreciate every single support you have done towards this conversation here on the lifestyle segment. Now we have some special birthday messages from some amazing personalities for our Papa. Let's take a look. We'll be right back.
Happy birthday to dear one. Happy birthday to you.
I would just want to speak on the behalf of the church in Ghana. I want to say, Papa, we love you. We celebrate you. We appreciate you, and we honor you deeply. And we pray that God will continue to strengthen you and give you more of life in the years to come. That the impact that your life has made will keep speaking, and greater impact will keep happening. We celebrate you, Papa. Happy birthday. Amen.
Happy 70th birthday, Bishop David Oyedepo. God bless you. Nyumo ajobo. Yamisha wo. Yamisha kesina kesa. Maune yirao.
Precious one, I'm Archbishop Charles Ajinasare, founder and prelate of Perez Chapel International. On the occasion of the 70th birthday of God's servant, Bishop David Oyedepo, I want to join the hundreds and thousands of people around the world to wish him a happy birthday. Bishop Oyedepo is a man that has impacted his generation. I'm glad to have known him since 1986, and I'm glad for the impact he's had on my life, my ministry, our nation, our world.
Papa, it's been 70 years, but you are the first person I heard who talked about 120. May the grace of God that introduced us to the level of 120 go with you to your 120. You've always said, the Lord bless you, sir.
From this 70th year, a new anointing is going to be released upon him. And we, the members, will also continue to enjoy the same anointing. So we wish him a happy birthday, platinum birthday, the 7th floor birthday. He is welcome, and it is going to be a glorious one. In Jesus' name.
And we want to wish you a happy 70th anniversary. May you not die now. May you live and become a great example to all of us. God bless you for your love. God bless you for your faith. God bless you for your messages on the supernatural. God bless you for bringing prosperity to this part of the world. God bless you. God bless you. bless you.
My family.
Wow. Those were some birthday messages for our Papa, Bishop David Oyedepo, as part of his birthday celebration. We still have some birthday celebrants of September coming up. Let's take a look. Amazing friend, I wish you all the best today on your birthday, from Emerald. Happy birthday, Jacob. May Allah continue to bless and keep you all the days of your life. This is from May what your heart's desires come through. Enjoy your day, from your family. A happy birthday, bestie, from Docas OA to John Watson. God bless you on your special day, and always may his love, guidance, and protection be with you through every step of your journey. Wishing you an amazing year ahead. All right. Thank you so much for bringing in your birthday messages as part of our birthday celebrations today. So today happens to be a special day. And so if you're September born, just count yourself lucky, because you are celebrating your birthday with the mighty man of God, Bishop David Oyedepo, who is the head pastor for Winners Chapel International. This is where we end the conversation here on the lifestyle segment. I am Miriam Abna Adede. Now up next, Clement Yabankwe is taking us into the world of business. Stay with us.
Clog TV, Beyond the Policy.
Jane, when you lose your virginity, you can't ever go back.
Jane made a promise.
Stop! We should stop! You've been dating for 2 years and you haven't boned.
But sometimes life... You're pregnant.
But I've never had sex!
...makes a surprise delivery.
I accidentally inseminated you 2 weeks ago.
You what? I'm not ready to be a mom.
You have become the best part of my life, and this will be the best part of your life, too.
Jane the Virgin.
143. The man who
you to undertake this task. Clog TV. Beyond the policy.
Good morning, welcome to the Business Update segment, where we bring you nothing but the best in the world of business. In today's story, starting with, according to Ghana Statistical Service, the country's total trade value reached 123 billion Ghana cedis, with exports surpassing imports by 5.4 billion Ghana cedis. This marks an improvement compared to the 3.1 billion Ghana cedis trade deficit from the same quarter in 2023, but shows a slowdown from the 11.5 billion Ghana cedis surplus in the first quarter of 2024. Gold was the main contributor to exports, earnings, representing over half of the total exports. Alongside key products like crude petroleum and cashew, the United Arab Emirates, Switzerland, and South Africa were the top export destinations. China remained the largest source of imports for Ghana, with increased imports from Asia and a decline in European imports. Leading import goods include gas oil, motor spirit super. Both export and import prices saw a rise, largely driven by higher gold prices.
Commodities that we've considered for this second quarter 2024 trade statistics are broadly put into 10 classifications, with gold, mineral fuels and oils, cocoa beans and products, machinery and electrical equipment, chemical products, vehicle and automotive parts, iron and steel, plastic, vegetables and products, and lastly, all the miscellaneous commodities, we classify them as other products. Hence, the findings for Ghana 2024 exports, flows, and values. In the second quarter of 2024, the total trade flows was 123 billion Ghana cedis, and this comprised 64.2 billion Ghana cedis made up of exports and 58.8 billion Ghana cedis made up of imports. $0.2 billion between the first two quarters of 2024. From a USD denominated perspective, we recorded a trade surplus of 0.4 billion Ghana cedis in the second quarter of 2024, with exports being $4.7 billion of the $9.0 billion and imports $4.3 billion of the 9.0 that was recorded for the second quarter of 2024. With these total trade flows for the second quarter of 2024, for the third consecutive time, we are recording a trade surplus, although this trade surplus is more than half the figure that was recorded in the first quarter of 2024. On the back of the last quarter of 2023, where we returned the deficit of 2.3 billion Ghana cedis, we recorded a surplus of 6.1 billion Ghana cedis.
In our second story, the Bank of Ghana's 2023 report shows a 455% rise in loan records submitted to credit bureaus, with 99% of data focused on individual borrowers due to increased reporting of digital loans. Savings and loans companies led individual loan submissions, while bank-denominated business loans, rural banks and microfinance institutions shifted towards payroll and digital loans. And US, if the remaining 111 million United States dollars of the 134 million United States dollars judgment debt related to 2018 contract breach is not paid. That's all we have for you on Business Update segment. I am Clement Yabankwe. Enjoy the rest of the show with Tiara Awuno and her guest. Stay tuned.
Clog TV, Beyond the Policy.
And now the hour has come.
Where are you?
I got a 1013. A Vic near Center Street.
Liv!
I tried to kill her. I tried to kill Kathy.
Who's he working for?
NYPD. He's the international liaison in Rome.
I want answers. Closure. I need that for my children. I'm just trying to find out who killed my wife.
Upstairs is giving us the organized crime task force. Elliot is not in charge of it.
Who is?
Detective Stabler. Nice to see you again. Our charge is to bust an international drug cartel. I just haven't been able to prove it yet.
I've never met the smart, dangerous, very bad man. I'd kind of like an introduction.
I run a legitimate business enterprise.
And my job is to catch scumbags. There's no doubt in my mind. I know what you are.
Extraordinary accusations call for extraordinary evidence, Detective. Prove it.
I will. Eli, get inside. Get inside.
We can nail the son of a bitch who did this to your family.
I was a damn good cop 12 years ago. I'm a better cop now.
Jane, when you lose your virginity, you can't ever go back.
Jane made a promise.
Stop! We should stop! You've been dating for 2 years and you haven't boned.
But sometimes life... You're pregnant.
But I've never had sex!
...makes a surprise delivery.
I accidentally inseminated you 2 weeks ago. You what?
I'm not ready to be a mom.
You have become the best part of my life, and this will be the best part of your life, too.
Get the weapon! Tigress! I'm the big fat panda. The whooshy finger hold. Oh, you know this hold.
Did not see that coming.
Choose.
What's that? What are you doing?
Painkillers.
Oh, for your leg.
No, because they're yummy. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm too stoned to...
Ladies and gentlemen, the pilot has switched on and fastened seatbelt sign. Please return to your seat and fasten your seatbelts.
Don't worry. It's gonna be over.
We must have been at about 40,000 feet when it happened. Hit an air pocket. Dropped. But we crashed 1,000 miles off course. They were looking for us in the wrong place.
unclogged TV. Beyond the policy.
Yeah, welcome back to the Cocoa Digest Morning Show. If you're just joining us, this is the Cocoa Digest Morning Show, and we're about to have our main discussion. Now, as you can see, there's a picture-in-picture going on here. You can see some sign language. This is because today's discussion is with members of the Ghana National Association of the Deaf, and we are going to be discussing the CRPD, which is the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, and it's about compliance, inclusive education for deaf learners. And my guests joining me today are in the persons of Mr. Matthew Kubachwa, who is the president of the Ghana National Association of the Deaf. And then we also have Mr. Seydou Musa Akugri. He's the program manager of the Ghana National Association of the Deaf. And then we also have Mr. Kwame Ania, who is our sign language interpreter. Good morning. Thank you for joining us here. So you're from the Ghana National Association of the Deaf, and I hear you are celebrating your International Week for the Deaf, right? So can you kindly tell us about this week celebration, what it's about?
All right. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and thank you, viewers. International Week of the Deaf is a global celebration that is being observed annually. It usually comes off the last week of September.
Okay.
And each year has a theme, and this year's theme is Stand Up for Sign Language Rights.
Okay.
The purpose of the celebration is to celebrate deaf people culture, is to create awareness about the issues affecting deaf people, and also to promote the issues of deaf people. So basically, this is how IWD is all about.
Okay.
And for this year, we have a number of themes that have been lined up for the week celebration.
Okay.
And in Ghana, the week celebration was launched at the Ghana National Association of Teachers Hall.
Okay.
To usher in the week celebration. It was launched jointly by the president of the Ghana National Association of the Deaf and the executive director of Ghana National Association of the Deaf. If I may take you through the teams,
okay, that's
or let me call them sub-teams,
okay.
daily sub-teams of the week celebration. Monday, 23rd September 2024, that was the International Day of Sign Language.
Okay.
And that's where the main theme was derived from. Stand Up for Sign Language Rights.
Okay.
So what do you mean by Stand Up for Sign Language Rights? The deaf community official language, their linguistic right is sign language.
Okay.
So we want the whole world, and particularly Ghana, our government, our institutions, to be able to recognize, promote, and use sign language in their institution. So that's the main theme for this year, and this is what we are advocating for.
Okay.
The following day, that was Tuesday, 24th, was inclusive education.
Okay.
And we held this activity at the Ghana CPS Authority with all stakeholders who are involved in inclusive education to discuss the role whereby stakeholders can support government to be able to implement CRP in deaf communities. Deaf communities have so many issues that so many diversity, culture, education, health, diversity coming from different backgrounds. So we will be doing that tomorrow. Then Saturday is deaf culture celebration. We also have their culture and celebrate. And when we do it, it will the whole country, the whole world will know how deaf culture is, which is very, very important. And finally, on Sunday, we have investing in the future of deaf community. I think generally and basically, this is how International Day of the Deaf is, and how the activities that are lined up, or the themes that are lined up for a 1 week and long celebration.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. I would like to read the profile of the Ghana National Association of the Deaf so that we have a fair idea of what they are also about. So the Ghana National Association of the Deaf is the national organization of deaf people in Ghana. GNAD is the mouthpiece of deaf people, working to ensure that every deaf person in Ghana enjoys the right to life and dignity. GNAD seeks to achieve an active and productive deaf community with access to education and information and steady economic activities that can sustain and maintain quality and security of life. So, as you heard, they are celebrating their International Week of the Deaf, and it just began. So, today they are here with us to inform us, educate us. As you know, here on Cocoa Digest, we bring to you informative and educative segments, and this is one of them where they are going to be talking about the CRPD and even just give us some exposure on what the deaf community is all about, who they are, and everything that we need to know about them. Okay, so I think I would like for our brother to probably line and explain something for us. So, if he can, what is GNAD about? If he can tell us, and then we get some interpretation so he can be involved in the conversation too. So yes. Okay. All right.
Okay, thank you. NAD is the association that represents deaf people. So deaf people establish it themselves.
Okay.
Deaf people establish, what is the reason why? What are the objectives? Because there are so many issues about the deaf. Such as the blind also have their own associations. The deaf also have theirs. What is the purpose? Because the purpose of NAD is for all Ghanaians that are deaf. And what do? We have so many things we do. We work for people to get their employment, and access to education, so that they become fit persons in the society. That is one reason why we established the NAD. So we know that actually it is not easy. We need to protect deaf rights. So it is one of the reasons why we have established NAD.
Okay, thank you very, very much. Thank you. So how long have you been in existence?
NAD was established in 1968. Okay. 1968.
Wow.
So that time there were only 11 people who established the association. So had it not been without NAD, it means that there's nothing that would have been for the deaf. So as it was established, it was made to create awareness. For people to know who deaf people are. So that to open ways for deaf people to know that, they also have associations, and then this is where they are found. So so that people will know about NAD.
Okay. So, yes.
Just to add to what the president said, I think at the moment we have over 11,000 registered members.
Oh, wow.
And according to the 2021 Ghana Statistical Service Population and Housing Survey, there are about over 470,000 deaf and hard of hearing people.
Okay, thank you so much. So, about the week celebration, why do you... Okay, I know, yes, you're supposed to celebrate it, but what is the main idea behind it? The week celebration for the deaf.
So as we realize that the celebration is very, very important to us, because every society we are doing this for Ghanaian society to know that there are deaf people in the society. So that it will be publicized for people to know that, yes, deaf people are there everywhere. So what are their problems that they need? What are the things that they need?
Okay.
Before, as I want to explain, so all these things were brought in so that people will know that true. We have Ghanaian people here in Ghana. We have deaf people who need health, who need education, who need various aspects, employment. And in the arts in the society, they are also part of the society, so that they need to be integrated in the society. And some people in the societies still have misconceptions about deaf people. So when these barriers are broken, people will now get their clear understanding of who deaf people are, so that misconceptions will be taken away. That is the reason why we are doing this.
Okay, thank you. So you want to add something,
yes,
right?
Thank you. I want to add that, yes, the week, like you said, the week celebration is also to create awareness about issues affecting the deaf people in Ghana, for government to be able to work on those issues. There are a lot of issues in terms of access to education, access to health, access to employment, and one key thing that surrounds this access is about the sign language.
Okay.
So are we aware that the language called sign language, Ghanaian sign language, how many people are aware of it? The government of Ghana recognizing the Ghanaian sign language and other institutions. So the celebration is to also bring to bear all these issues, so that government will be encouraged to be able to address the issues affecting the deaf community, especially the sign language, so that they can also live full life and also integrate in society like how the other hearing people are. So the main issue is to bring to fore the issues, especially sign language, to match with the team, so that government will be able to come in and support and promote the Ghanaian sign language, so that they will be able to integrate society freely.
Okay, so I would want to ask also, do the people in the deaf community come out in their numbers to come and celebrate the International Week for the Deaf?
Yes.
Yes, they do. Okay, that's very, very beautiful to hear.
He wants to.
Okay.
Deaf people from all over the country came.
Okay.
I think we have about 600 deaf people who came to Accra to participate in from all the regions in Ghana. They came.
Okay.
So we want to thank the government for giving the various deaf societies their Ghana, the national, the common fund.
Okay.
Give them some money so that they will be able to support and come back to join us over here. So we thank the government for doing that. And open opportunity for them to come and celebrate with us here.
Okay. Thank you so much. So earlier I got some education that we don't call them the deaf and the dumb community anymore, because dumb has become a more derogatory term. So it's rather the deaf and the people who are hard of hearing or hearing impaired people. So today, as you are watching, please take note and make sure to respect the people in the deaf and hard of hearing or hearing impairment community, and don't call them deaf and dumb. It is very insulting to them. So let's quickly move into the CRPD. Now, can you explain what the CRPD means, which is the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities? If you can tell us something, shed some light on that for us.
Thank you very much. Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, CRPD for short, is an international treaty that was adopted in 2006 by the United Nations General Assembly. Many countries have signed into the treaty. Ghana, for example, signed into the treaty in 2007 and ratified in 2012. The treaty has a number of principles, and if you are a member country or a country that has signed into it, you have to comply. We call it CRPD compliance. You have to comply what the treaty is saying.
Yeah.
So the treaty purpose is to promote and protect the rights of persons with disabilities.
Okay.
If you look at Ghana, for example, there are about 26 recognized persons with disabilities.
Okay.
With deaf and hard of hearing people are part.
Okay.
So this treaty tells us that all these people that are in the society, we should be able to respect their rights. We should be able to be non-discriminatory towards them. We should be able to create opportunities for these people to be able to live fully their life in society.
Okay.
So generally and basically, this is what the CRPD is. But there's the particularly Article 24, which talks about inclusive education.
Okay.
So that's the main focus of one of the Convention on the Right of Persons with Disability Compliant Inclusive Education. So there should be one of the principles is non-discrimination. Everybody has the right, especially children, to go to school. So you shouldn't discriminate in creating opportunities for children to attend school. So when you are creating the opportunities and in schools, you should take into consideration the deaf people, so that the environment that is being created has the opportunity for them to access education. The CRPD compliant inclusive education says that you should be able to create equal access to quality education. So some countries, for that matter Ghana, is supposed to comply with this by making sure that all mainstream schools are able to accommodate people who are deaf and hard of hearing children to learn. What are the things that you do? You'll be able to make sure we have sign language teachers, we have infrastructure, the classroom that is able to be adaptive for people who are deaf. They should be able to design the curriculum or the textbooks which is sign language or deaf people friendly, so that they'll be able to have access to that kind of education. CRPD compliant inclusive education says that it should be able to be it brings inclusion, social integration. When you are able to create that opportunity, deaf people and hard of hearing people and all their peers in classroom will be able to integrate and include and be inclusive in whatever they
put in place to ensure the compliance has been smooth or has worked out.
Thank you very much. Like I said, government of Ghana signed into the CPRPD and ratified. One of the things that government have been able to do, there was an enactment of Disability Act. Law. So we have Act 715, which promotes and protects the right of persons with disability living in Ghana, including persons who are deaf. So it is one of the key things that government have been able to do. Another thing that government have been able to do in terms of complying to the CRPD is to also launch an inclusive education policy. The policy was developed in 2015 and launched in 2016. So which is called Ghana government of Ghana Inclusive Education Policy. These are some of the things that government have been able to do in order to comply with it. And some articles in our constitution also talks about free compulsory basic education. All those things. However, some of the things that the policy has designed, government is not able to live by it. Like I spoke earlier, if you go to mainstream schools now, are the infrastructure in the schools, in the classrooms, inclusive enough for persons who are deaf and hard of hearing to learn?
No.
The answer is as good as you know. Every school that is supposed to be inclusive, especially for the deaf people, you must have a sign language interpreter. Or a teacher who is trained in sign language, training. She must have background in sign language, so that she'll be able to teach and the deaf child able to follow. Our teaching and learning materials, now teaching and learning resources, are they CPRD inclusive? Are they compliant? For example, books, marker board, And all those things that have been provided in the classroom to teach, are deaf people able to access them? The classroom is supposed to have assistive devices that will help be able to comprehend whatever is being taught in the classroom. Our classroom able to have all these things to assist the deaf child to learn? It is no. So these are the reasons why this week's celebration is echoing. So the government can listen and come in and be able to rectify some of the anomalies in the classroom. Otherwise, the deaf child will continue to be denied access to education. If a deaf child go to school the first day and the teacher doesn't sign, he doesn't have any assistive device that he can learn, the next day you will not see the deaf child there. We are told that government is reviewing the inclusive education policy. And it is at this final stage. We hope that they will be able to complete it on time and relaunch it or maybe publish it, so that we'll be able to have more access to education for the deaf people in the schools. Okay, so my question goes to the president of the association. Do you have some form of training for people to become sign language interpreters or teachers? And if you do, how much awareness has been created for, other people who are not necessarily hard of hearing, who want to learn and become interpreters?
Yes, please. The first thing, we have NAT itself have classrooms for deaf people who want to come and learn sign language over there. That's the first point. The second point, interpreters, yes. We have training workshops. We have about 681 sign language interpreters that were trained at University of Cape Coast for some time ago. And so we still have the programs going on. So when we train these sign language interpreters, they are sent to other places to go and also train other sign language interpreters. So we hope that we can get more training to support these new sign language interpreters.
So we also have a book. So Mr. Akugri would want to show us a book that has some information for us on the sign language as well.
Thank you. Just to add to what my president has just said, all over the country, in all the system regions, we have what we call sign language instructors. That's NAT has, if I say NAT, DNAD. Yes, DNAD. Has trained and satisfied in providing basic sign language training in the country, in the regions. So if whether you are a deaf person or hearing person, if you want to learn sign language, you should be able to get these services in all the regions. And people who are not aware or that don't know where they can access, they can contact NAT. They will be able to direct them where they can have access, wherever they are coming from, for that training. To also add up to the sign language interpreters, Cape Coast University of Cape Coast, like he said, have trained a number of them. And there's also a body called National Association of Sign Language Interpreters of Ghana, NASLIC. National Association of Sign Language Interpreters of Ghana, NASLIC. They are all over the country. He's a member of that association. So anybody who wants interpreting services can contact them or contact NAT, and you should be able to.
So yeah, speaking. In order
to have a common sign language, in Ghana there are a number of gestures or signs that are different all over the country. But NAT has been able to come up with a curriculum that will be able to design for us to have a common Ghanaian sign language. We have a common Ghanaian sign language now. I think it's about over 30 years now. And this is the curriculum. The curriculum for Ghanaian sign language. Ghanaian sign language that have been designed by NAT to be able to guide as whoever want to be trained, so that we don't have different signs or different. This is a common Ghanaian sign language. When you go through this curriculum and you are taught in basic sign language, wherever you are and you are signing, every deaf person will be able to understand.
That's fine. Thank you so much. So yes, I have two questions, but my first one, speaking of contacting NAD, where can we find NAD in Accra, in Ghana, all the 16 regions and, you know, districts? Where can we find NAD anywhere we go? Okay, so our president would answer.
Okay, if you want to find NAD, Accra Rehabilitation Center, there's a national association, Accra? The national headquarters, Accra Rehabilitation Center, opposite the museum.
Okay.
Secondly, the 16 regions, or we have various cities and where we have deaf NAD associations all over.
Okay.
Yeah, so all the cities, they are found there. Then in the district to the districts, district capitals too, we have the NAD offices all over.
Okay.
So you can see the signing, you see people sign all over.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's easy to find us.
Okay, so do you have maybe social media, phone numbers, PO boxes, websites that, you know, with our information technology lives, we can contact, you know, in the comfort of our homes? Okay. Now read it aloud. Okay, so yes, it's in the curriculum here, so I think I will read it aloud for us to take note. So the Ghana National Association of the Deaf, they have their phone numbers here, and it's 0302 680100 or 020 876 4407. Now, if you want their email address, you can contact them at GNADEAF, that's not deaf, so GNAD then deaf, but it's just one D, at yahoo.com. And then their digital address is GA4435222. And then the PO box is PO Box AN7908, Accra North, Ghana, West Africa. Their website is www.gnadgh.org. So please find them with this information that I've provided and contact them if you're interested in learning sign language to be able to help persons with disability in your community. So my other question was also going to be about the interpreters. What is NAD doing about putting interpreters in maybe every school? Because you mentioned that they were trained in, some people were trained in, I think, University of Cape Coast, right? But somewhere like the University of Ghana, there's not much information about. I know about the blind, where, you know, there's Braille for them, and even the libraries, they're able to access the library, for the Braille for them and everything. So what is NAD doing about getting interpreters in probably every school or every university, or creating more? Because the deaf people are also quite a number. As you mentioned, there are a lot. So what are we doing about that for the people who may not have access to your the national, the association like that?
Okay, thank you.
Switch.
Thank you very much for your question. Talk about interpreters. After training, they are put into various parts of the country. Okay. But you know, here in Ghana, it is not easy to get funds.
Yes.
And even not easy to get jobs too. And we always fall on the government to employ these people, but it's not easy.
Okay.
But secondly, the government has also not acknowledged or recognized sign language. So that is another barrier we are facing. If sign language is recognized and accepted as a national language, then things will be better. But as we train more students as interpreters, they are accepted wherever we send them.
Okay.
But especially as University of Ghana, as we are talking about, we have interpreters over there who help students over there, who are full-time. Myself, I attended school there, so interpreters interpreted for me during my courses. For Winneba, we are not very sure, but the University of KN University too, we have some departments that are not fully functional.
Okay.
But for if sign language is recognized, it will be easy for acceptance. For example, here in Accra, even so many TV stations, you don't have sign language interpreters. Yes. So that is another issue. Yeah. So we can only advocate, but we cannot fight or we cannot force the government.
Oh, you should. You are part of a society. Yes, you wanted to also add something.
Yes, just to add to my president. Yes, your question. Yes, it is not will not be able to employ people in all those areas we are talking about.
Okay.
But what we are doing as an organization, as an association, is to advocate for government. If government is able to recognize that deaf people language is Ghanaian Sign language, and what can government do to be able for them to have their language being respected, and then for them to have access to whatever it is.
Okay.
So government is supposed to employ sign language interpreters into key institutions in the country, so that anywhere the Ghanaian deaf community go, they should be able to have access.
Okay.
We have been advocating for the employment of the sign language interpreters at the various district assemblies, MDAs.
Okay.
So that wherever a deaf person goes, he should be able to access the security service, especially Ghana Police Service. If a deaf person goes to a police station now, what would he do? If the police put to sign.
Yes.
Health institutions. But with Ghana Health Service, we have been able to collaborate with them, and some nurses have been trained on basic sign language, and they are providing sign language services in some of the health centers in the country. We also have, like you said, University of Ghana, let me say universities. There are some of them who are running sign language courses, but they have employed their own sign language interpreters and are helping them, but not government. So we want to use this opportunity to appeal to government to employ sign language interpreters into key institutions in the country, so that deaf people can be able to access information wherever they go. Like I said, police stations, NMDAs, hospitals. And it will also be a source of employment for those who have gone to the school there, so that it will encourage more people to go for that course. Because the school is admitting less, to the number that they want. They are not admitting to the capacity they because there are not really employment for sign language interpreters. So we want government to employ more of them, so that it will encourage a lot of people to go into sign language interpreters training.
Okay. Thank you very much. I hear you mentioned Ghanaian Sign Language, and also based on the movies we've been watching, we've been seeing American Sign Language. So I want to ask, are there different types of sign language? If so, what is the difference? Is it like the way we have different countries and there are different languages, or there are seemingly similarities in all the sign languages that are, maybe we have American, German or something? Are there similarities or they are all different?
Thank you very much. Yes, there are differences. Sign language is like the spoken language we have. We have Ever, Twi, they have English, French, and so sign language also. So we have international language, sign language, and Ghanaian sign language. The international sign language is mostly being used in international conferences. For example, just recently there was a World Federation of Persons with Disability meeting in Geneva, and they were using international sign language, so that people from Ghana who went able to understand, and other part of the world. So that is a Ghanaian sign, the international sign language. But in other countries, like you mentioned, America have their own sign language. Denmark has their own sign language. And even if you come to Ghana, we don't have a common sign language. We have, but we call them gestures. People from the north, south here, other countries, when they meet, they may not be able to have a common reason, but they have gestures, sign that they can do. They will all understand. And that is why NAT has taken it as a duty to have a common Ghanaian sign language, so that when you are speaking using that sign, everybody understands. Like when you are speaking Twi, everybody understands. If you are speaking English, everybody understands. We don't have Accra Twi, Boku Twi.
So is there also a possibility where the sign language is in the local dialect?
Yes, but those ones we call them gestures. Gestures, They are gestures. They are not. They may not be necessarily sign language. Because if you don't actually have a formal education when you are taught in school, or you are not trained on the Ghanaian sign language, If you get born a deaf, you may not be able to understand the
yeah, okay.
You may be able to understand the gestures within your community or your district or your region.
Okay.
So these are not formal sign language, but gestures.
Okay. So do you also have, so like the way we have in English, we have pidgin English where it's a little informal. Do you have informal sign language to aside the gestures, or the gestures are the informal? Is the gestures? Okay,
yes. So
okay.
those are the gestures that we let people meet. Wherever they come from, they'll be able to do and they understand one another. Yes.
Okay. So, this conversation, it looks like there's so much to talk about with so little time, but we will try and cover some of these things. So, yes, let me quickly go to the challenges that the deaf community faces, if you can shed some light on that. Maybe our president can answer this question. Thank you,
Thank you so much. For challenges that it's the first one I'll talk about communication barrier.
Okay.
Secondly, we have health barriers to seeking health assessment, health access. There are no interpreters in the hospitals. Next, and then for education too the same. We have so many barriers. For example, in schools for the deaf, we don't have good teachers who know sign language. Next one, deaf associations or even the deaf society itself, they discriminate against themselves. Yeah,
that is so sad.
Or what I mean is that the societies discriminate against deaf persons.
Okay, our society. Okay,
yeah, the societies. Yeah. So when the society does not recognize us and they have misconceptions about us, they say, "Oh, deafness is a punishment from God."
Oh,
that is misconception. They think, "Oh, we are not humans." So when you see all those things, they are not right. But we want the society to see us as the same as they see themselves. As we are humans as they are. We are not different at all. But when the only difference is that my ear cannot hear, but you can hear. That's the only difference. But we are the same.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, yes, you want to add something here?
Yes. Another two is also employment. Access to employment is a very big challenge to the deaf community. And not only in the, organizations or businesses around, even government. Government actually is not actually making use of deaf people. You go to most organizations, and when they apply for jobs, they are not picked. Some think that cost. Maybe if they pick a deaf person who's a graduate, we have graduates who are deaf people, they may need an interpreter. No, deaf people don't need interpreter to work in any organization.
Okay, so you are also able to read and write.
Yes. If you are able to provide assistive devices and clear communication, they will be able to ask to do whatever you want in the whichever department they find themselves. There are some of them who are good in ICT. There are some of them who are good in management. Whatever field, then people are there and they can be employed. Another challenge is stigmatization. And we've just mentioned one of them here, deaf and dumb. What can they do? And that's very, very derogatory. So why do you want to say it's a deaf and dumb? If you all go to school, if you all go to whatever you have the same ability to be able to perform. So therefore, these are the things that deaf people can face, and that's even accounted to the low number that we have in the what do you call it, number of deaf we have in the country. And we believe that the number of deaf in Ghana are even more than the 407,000 I've spoke about. Ghana's because some of them don't want to come out and say that because of the stigma.
The stigma,
So if this stigma were not available or not there, more people would have owed up to say that they are deaf, and the number would have been greater than what we have currently.
Okay. So I wish I could ask how one becomes deaf, because I know some of them are medical conditions and the rest, but I will just quickly ask some of the suggestions you would like government to put in place. And then also, okay, before I ask about that, do you have access to technological advancements that aid with the ease of access to basic things here in Ghana too?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. One of the technology, the use of smartphone.
Okay.
That has been the biggest tool the deaf community are currently using. Most of the information that NAD do or NAD does is to convert them into a video form.
Okay.
And share it among members' platform so that they will be able to access any information that we want our community to access. We convert that information into a video form. Because when you text, most of them have not been to school. And
so they cannot read.
When you voice, they cannot hear. So the only thing is that you convert into video sign language and share, and they will be able to access it.
Okay.
One of the biggest technological tool that we are currently using. There are other devices that helps them convert. For example, like when we were talking, there are some devices that can be converting the talking into reading.
Okay.
How we talk into reading. So you are someone who can read.
Okay, so even the subtitles. Yes. Okay.
You get through as reading, then you pick it from there. I think these are some of the technology that we are currently available.
So I know that with the phones, you're able to put it on vibrate and then even get the flashlight. And even your homes, you have a sort of bulb. So when someone rings your bell, it flashes a light so that you know that someone is at your door. Do we have that here in Ghana? Is it common for people to be able to access?
Yes, I think they are there. But if you talk of common, maybe the affordability,
okay.
And wherever the deaf people also live. So
it depends on that as well. Okay, so with wrapping up, I would like to ask, what are some... Okay, you want to add something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, for the door that we have, maybe when you press it will put on a light in the room. So when you press the door at the outside, it will put on the light for the deaf to see that somebody is at the door, not necessarily the phone.
Okay.
But when you knock, the deaf will not hear. But when you press the knob and then the light comes on, he will know that somebody is at the door.
Okay. I was asking about the phone one. You know, the lights flash, maybe you turn it upside down so the flash. So when you get a call or a message...
it says not yet. It said that one is not yet.
No, usually some people, when they get a call, the light flashes or the message, then so that they know that there's a message in your phone.
You say you have that.
Okay, you have that.
Yes,
okay, so that is one of the ways that technology helps you. So yes, wrapping up, what are some of the suggestions you would like to make to government to help the hard of hearing community? Okay, our president will go first, then our program manager.
Okay. So the suggestion we are suggesting to the government is that they must implement the policies that they design. Our policies are already there, but the implementation is the problem. For these acts like this, is have a problem. The government must what? The disability law is there, but people are not following it. The UNCPRD also is there, convention is also there, but people are not following it. So we are suggesting to the government that we are pleading with you, follow all the tenets of the conventions so that our problems can be solved.
Okay.
If the government refuses, it means that we will continue to have problems. And so we are pleading with the government, please implement this special recognition of sign language for us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you too. So yes, Mr. Kugi.
Yes, to add to President is employment of sign language interpreters. We're very glad the government is able to employ more sign language in key institutions of state, so that deaf people can be able to access hospitals, the MMDAs, police service, and then maybe the other private institutions can also do the same. For example, bank.
Yes.
If you have a sign language interpreter working in the bank, he may not just be there because of interpretation. He may have other services, but if somebody comes in as a deaf person, then that person can be able to access that institution.
Okay.
Another this one government to do is to recognize and promote Ghanaian sign language.
Okay.
So that this one, either by amending already existing legislation or maybe if there's not any legislation to amend, to enact a new legislation so that we have a Ghanaian sign language being taught or being put in the curriculum.
Okay.
So that it will be taught in schools.
Okay.
So that every child in Ghana have a basic sign language. So that they'll be able to interact freely with the deaf community.
Okay.
Today being the week of we are celebrating IWD.
Okay.
I just want to show something small. The main theme is stand up for deaf language rights.
Okay.
This is a storybook developed by Nat.
Okay.
And we wish that people can access it. It has QR code, and the QR code has a tree, Gan, and ever or so in it.
Okay.
So when in English, so when you are able to scan the QR code, it will link to whichever you want.
Okay.
And it's in a video form.
Okay.
So you can able to read the story whether you are a deaf person or hearing person.
Okay.
You can be able to read the story and learn. And these are some of the assistive or what do you call it? Assistive tools or assistive devices that we talk about, like in the classroom that deaf people want, like cartoon figures, emojis.
Yes, yes.
They understand the grasp of that one even more than we are writing on paper.
Yeah.
Or those things are not the same. So if a classroom is equipped with things that can come with those things, then they will be able to learn very, very, very well.
Okay.
So thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. I'd also like to encourage our publishers and NGOs to get in contact with the Ghana National Association of the Deaf to be able to help them to put these books out there, to fund them, help them create more awareness, because these are also members of our society. Now, as we are ending off, we cannot end without learning some sign language. I know this is thank you. So if you can teach us one or two things to go away with so that the next time we meet, I can say hello to you without any interpreter or interpretations.
Okay,
so
good morning.
So good morning.
This one comes
so good. So good. Then
when you see the good,
yes.
Then this one,
the other.
The left comes.
Okay, so good. Then morning. This way. Okay, so good. Then morning. Okay. So good. Then. Yes, morning. So how do you say what's your name? So what is your name? Okay. So
I letter.
Okay.
So
okay, okay. So what is my producer, please don't distract me. My producer wants to know how we say I love you, but let's learn the what is your name. So what is then your name? So okay, so which one is this one? What does this one mean? Clapping. Okay, okay. So my producer wants to know how we say I love you. So this. And then, so this I, okay. So both.
So we have.
Okay, so this.
No, this is I.
Okay.
This is love.
Okay, so so like this.
And then when you do this, it's you are you.
Okay, so I.
It's embedded.
Okay, so I love you. Okay, so. Don't behave yourselves. Thank you so much. So thank you so much. What else do I want to learn? How do I introduce myself? So I say, so I'm Yayora Auno. So how? So
my name.
Okay, so my name is. Okay, so.
No, this is introduction.
Yeah, so I'm introducing myself. Yes. Then how my name is. Then I'm okay. As for the era, I don't think we can finish it today. Okay, okay. Thank you so much. You wanted to add something?
Yeah, just to say that we want to use this opportunity to thank the management and board of Flock TV for providing this opportunity for us to educate the Ghanaian people and to appeal to government to come to the aid of the deaf community in Ghana. I think going forward, we should work in partnership, do a lot of things to be able to educate the Ghanaian society. The rights that all hearing people has, the deaf community has equal rights.
Oh, yeah.
We are all
yeah.
Ghanaians, we have equal rights. So equal rights to health, equal rights to education, equal rights to employment, and all the rights that we have, our country has signed to. So we want them to know this, and they should be able to interact with the deaf community freely.
Okay.
And
thank you very much.
Learn the sign language so that we can communicate together.
Okay. So our president, do you have anything you would want to also say to our viewers, to our government, everybody?
Okay, he's the PRO. PRO, he has finished saying everything.
Okay.
So I want to thank you all for Clock TV here, to give the opportunity to come here. And I hope that you, another time, you create more opportunities for us, and then for people to know more about the deaf.
Okay.
Well, because without TV, people will not know about us, people will not hear about us. So maybe in 2-3 months' time, you can invite us once more to come and then
talk again
about deaf issues in Ghana. So more people will know more about us.
Okay.
About deaf rights and all other things.
Okay. Thank you very much. So we have a comment here from D&J Ventures, and it says, "Good work, Ghana National Association of the Deaf." So this brings us to the end of the Cocoa Digest Morning Show, and I hope you were educated and informed. And please do well to take any opportunity you get to learn sign language, to be able to help the people around you, in case you have anybody who is hard of hearing. I'm sure there are websites and videos, tutorials for us to learn. Please don't miss the opportunity to learn something today. We have learned how to say thank you, and this is where I will sign off and say a big thank you, of course, to Ghana National Association of the Deaf. Yes. Okay, so their social media page on Facebook is Ghana National Association of the Deaf. So you can follow them, and then you can interact with them. Anything you want to do to help them, you can just get in touch and then help them as well. I want to say a big thank you to you all for coming, representing the Ghana National Association of the Deaf. We are most grateful, and we will definitely have you back here again to create more awareness about your community. A big thank you to our viewers, a big thank you to our sponsors, everybody who played a role in making the show a success. A big thank you to our production team, our management, everybody. We say thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. This is where I say goodbye, and of course, thank you all.
Clog TV, Beyond the Policy.